Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Crizzy White channel. First of all, it has been a while, and I apologize. Life's been busy. To put it simply, I've just been working a lot. I've been doing those streams every week. I've been worried about the podcast that I'm doing with Go Yard Sad Boy, which if you haven't seen it, episode 2 just came out. It's called The Garage Pod. Check it out. It's on Spotify for podcasts. Under the same name, The Garage Pod, and it's also on my YouTube channel, the exact one that you're watching right now. But I know it's been a while, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to work on doing YouTube more. My work-life balance is just really messed up. I pretty much work all day, and I don't have much time for YouTube outside of the streams and the podcast. But I want to change that because I haven't been making any music, and I haven't been doing this YouTube channel, and man, I have never gotten so much support on my YouTube as I'm getting right now. You guys are all going crazy, so I really appreciate it. I wish I could capitalize off it more. I wish I could put more time into this, so I'm going to try to, I promise. Anyways, enough about me. Let's get in to the review. Today, we are reviewing Life's Good, Life's Great by teddyboi. This is an EP that he only released for streaming services. No SoundCloud upload. It is exclusive. So if you do not have iTunes, Spotify, or any of that, you cannot listen to this project. That being said, if you do have Spotify, Apple Music, or Pandora, or any of those, I highly recommend you check out this EP. Before I even start the review, let me say it is worth listening to. And while, as you'll find out, I didn't connect with it as much as I have teddyboi's other work, I do think that you could find something out of it. Similar to the review that I did for I Hate New Jersey by Kristen. I was not insane about the record, but a lot of people who listened and found it after my review really did love it. So, as always, I am simply here to tell you my thoughts. I recommend you listen to everything I talk about. Show underground artists some love because they don't get enough. For context, before I fully dive into my thoughts, me and teddyboi are close friends. We are good friends. We are in a collective together, Vanity. I am not letting that affect my judgment of his music. I am simply here to report new music that I found in the underground, and this was a big enough release to me that I feel like it is warrant reviewing. I have avoided reviewing my friends' work in the past, just so you guys don't think there's any bias. But let me tell you, anybody who's seen my Crizzy critique streams on Wednesdays, they know I do not hold any bias. I am very critical of everybody's work regardless of my relation to the artist, so this is no different. Anyways, I'm going to start out with my overall thoughts, and then I'll give my individual track reviews, give you my score, and all that. So, here's my overall thoughts. As always, Teddy's vocals are extremely varied, and they're beautiful. He can put on one of the greatest vocal performances you've ever heard and sound like he's not even trying, not even putting energy into it. It sounds so effortless and so impressive. I don't understand how a man has this much range, because he can seriously do it all. Like, I mean it, he can. It impresses me every single time I hear a new song by him. His vocal work is never what ruins a track, in my opinion. What ruins most of these tracks, because I will admit I am not the craziest for most of these, is the production is so mind-numbing. The production on almost every song on this project sounds very bland, very boring. Most of the 808s, the kicks aren't punchy. It might be a result of the masters, but also the melodies aren't blowing me away. And this is a problem with almost every single beat on the project. There are a few highlights, which I'll get into in the individual tracks, but for the most part, I'm not crazy about the production, and I'm not crazy about Teddy's lyrics on a lot of this EP. There are some highlights of his lyrics, especially on Apologize. I think 40 Smith & Wesson is really cool with the double entendres and some of the cool lyrics he hits. But there are other songs on here that the lyrics he's just saying things to fill a rhyme out. And it doesn't impress me, especially because I know he can do way better lyrics than that. I will say The middle tracks of this project are definitely the highlight. I don't think it starts well. In fact, I think it starts tripping over its own feet, and I think it ends pretty poorly as well. I really don't think that the opener is good at setting the mood for the project either. I feel like it doesn't really fit most of the project. It's a very romantic opener, and yes, there are romantic songs on here after that, but most of the EP is more upbeat, flexy, in your face, fuck you kind of music. And I feel like the opener doesn't set that vibe. And I get that this was pretty much just songs that he made for his girlfriend that he wanted to put out. I don't see how songs like Radar, Big Swag, and 40 Smith & Wesson are made about his girlfriend at all. He mentions his girlfriend in maybe 1 or 2 lines in each of those songs. So I feel like that is a poor way of him saying, I put out these songs because I think they're good, which he can admit, because he always likes to pretend like he doesn't like his own music, but it's okay to like your own music. I honestly think that rearranging the track list could have made this EP feel a lot fuller, because it opening on such mid and it ending on such a letdown of a track really kills the energy that was set up by the middle of this track list, because the middle of this track list is great. And overall, I enjoyed my time listening to this, and I'm looking forward to the full album that Teddy is working on, but this was just a little snack, and it doesn't blow me away. My favorites by far are Big Swag, 40 Smith & Wesson, and Apologize, and my least favorites were Okay and Best Friend. Okay is probably my least favorite song on here, but Best Friend also isn't that great to me. Overall, I give it a 6 out of 10, which is not bad. I do think that is better than average. When I rate something a 5 out of 10, that means it's right down the middle of the road. I wouldn't mind listening to it. 6 out of 10 means I'll revisit some of these tracks. I've listened to Radar and Big Swag several times since the release. Anyways, now that I have that out of the way, you can make your judgments based off the opening, and if you want to stay to hear me talk about the individual tracks, I recommend you listen to the tracks before I talk about them. But if you would rather hear what I have to say and then go listen, that's perfectly fine. So first off, okay, this is an opener. I am not a huge fan of the production at all, and I don't think Teddy sounds vocally motivated in this song. He personally told me that the song means a lot to him, but I do not hear it in the performance. He is not pushing his voice like normal. Overall, it just feels lifeless, especially for an opener. I feel like Teddy usually puts way more energy, way more care into his music, but this song, it feels a little underwhelming. Next up, we have Apologize, which I think should have been the opener, dude. The energy on this track is what you would normally expect from Teddy's music, in a good way. He just has effortless flows through the entire thing, and it's so smooth. He can switch his flow that he's doing at any point, and it will never be jarring. He is so good at his vocal control, the way that he slides in and out of these pockets on the song. And the romantic message of the track is very beautiful. I really appreciate the lyrics on Apologize. It is one of my favorite songs on the project by far. Next up, we have Radar. This is a very typical sounding teddyboi track. If you've ever heard a more upbeat Teddy track, a more flexy one, you've heard something like this. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, I think the production of this one is way better than the production on almost every song on this project. I think that Radar has an amazing beat, and Teddy floats over it, man. Like, he's in his bag on this one, and I think that his voice works incredibly well with the higher register that he slips into, and the autotune being cranked so high just gives a really trancy experience that I really appreciate. I think this song is very unique, and it's a very fun one to just throw on and listen to. And after that, we have Big Swag. Big Swag is probably my favorite of the more upbeat tracks, and it by far has the best beat on the project in my opinion. I love the repetition of his vocals and the performance he gives. Repetition can sometimes be viewed as a negative thing, but I honestly think that the repetitious nature of this song works in its favor. More hype tracks, like these more upbeat, energetic ones, they're usually my favorites by Teddy. It doesn't have or hold the same lyrical beauty that he offers in the more serious, romantic songs, but other than that, these lyrics are a vibe. It perfectly encapsulates what you want to feel while listening to this beat. And near the end, he switches the topic to a more serious look at his mental state. And I think it's a nice touch. It's a blend of his two styles that fits really well. being mostly a hype track and having that beautiful bridge where he talks more about his mental state and the way he feels towards music and life, and I appreciate that. The next song I would like to talk about is 40 Smith & Wesson. This has the best flows on the project. I think that his flow on 40 Smith & Wesson blows me away every single time. The lyrics are not special, I'll be honest. The lyrics are not the best. In fact, there's some cringe lines here and there, but the beat is really wavy, and I love the vibes that the track gives off. It's nothing close to the best thing I've heard from Teddy, but it carries the momentum of Big Swag very well. And finally, the last track I want to talk about is On His Head. This track is very trancey, but I'm not a big fan of the chorus. Honestly, this song just sounds lazily put together. I feel like I don't find myself being too attached to the song, and I feel like almost Teddy didn't care about this song a lot when he made it. That being said, the first verse is pretty smooth, and the punchlines are really nice, but this track is just kind of a boring end to the project. It's not a bad track, but it's just really underwhelming. I could see it being somebody else's favorite song by Teddy, at least on the project, but for me, man, it doesn't carry the momentum that Big Swag and 40 Smith & Wesson had. And I didn't talk about Best Friend on this because I kind of just think it doesn't have much to talk about. I mean, the lyrics are pretty and you can go listen to it and hear that, but I didn't talk about Best Friend in the individual tracks because I don't feel like it was that important to talk about. But On His Head is pretty much the same level to me as Best Friend. I kind of view them the same way, that it just doesn't do anything for me. And I feel like I had to talk about On His Head because it is the ending to the track list. And the opener and the closer to a project are the two most important songs for a project, bar none, in my opinion. So anyways, like I said, 6 out of 10. Good work. I liked more of the tracks than I didn't like on this project. In fact, I would highly recommend listening to it. It's just not the best thing I've heard from Teddy, which is fine. But anyways, do you agree with me? Leave it in the comments. I already warned Teddy ahead of time that it wasn't going to be a crazy positive review, so I hope he's not upset. I mean, I tried my best to stay very unbiased, which maybe that ended up me being harsher on him than other people, but obviously I want to see my brother succeed. I love that man to death. So thank you for watching. Sorry for the long-winded intro, and I hope I can see you all next time. More is coming, I promise.